Ready, Chief?
Oh, yeah.
Well, good evening, and thank you for tuning in to another week with Fathers Who Care. And of course, as always, it's our pleasure to come to you, the viewing audience, each week with individuals we have found to be extremely vetted, extremely important, and people that you should know in the neighborhood. And of course, tonight is no different than the other nights. We have one of our very own law enforcement officers, our chief, our deputy chief of police. And it's none other than Deputy Chief Dwayne Betts of the Office of the Superintendent of the Chicago Police Department. And in a very short minute or so, we're going to talk about some of the good things that's going on in the community in relationship to law enforcement. And then we're going to talk about some of the new opportunities that are available to those who want to be a part of the change and not the problem. If you really want to make a difference, we believe that you subscribe to become a law enforcement officer. So there's an initiative out right now, and I was told that twice a year they had been doing it to try to recruit additional people to become part of the police department and be the change that you claim you want to see in the community. And I want to go and talk to our chief in a little while about back in the day we used to have the officer friendlies. Back in the day we used to have that relationship where law enforcement knew the people in the neighborhood. And I want to talk to our chief here about are those things coming back into the neighborhood and what can we do in order to make those things happen. So with that being said, I will be your guest servant tonight. My name, of course, is Reverend Walter Jones. I'm the Executive Director of Fathers Who Care, the West Garfield Park Youth Council, the West Side Community Stakeholders, and of course, it's my pleasure to come to you, the viewing audience, each week with people that you should know, people who have really made a difference in the lives of so many others in the community. And I like to say that about our relationship and the relationship we know about this particular chief of police, none other than Dwayne Betts. I mean, those who know him for being one of the commanders in the District 15 and has been actively involved in the community. Just anytime you was doing something in the neighborhood, you can look up and see Commander Betts, at that time Commander Betts, in the activities or being actively involved in community activities. And I thought that was the way to show by example how to bridge the gap between law enforcement, i.e. Police, and the community. I think the answer is quite simple, Chief. Be involved.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Be involved. Law enforcement, be involved with the community. Community, be involved with law enforcement. Don't be afraid of each other. Be able to share with each other. Be able to talk with each other. So with that being said, tonight we're going to use this show in that endeavor. The topic tonight would be how can we bridge the gap? The intergenerational gap, the community gap between law enforcement, i.e. the Chicago police, and the community. Yeah, we know there's a whole lot of stuff going on. Yeah, we know people are talking about a whole lot of stuff. People gonna talk. We're talking about now how we can be a change agent, a social agent for change. That's what we want to use this show for. We want to talk about the positive things. We want to talk about the good law enforcement officers that are out there making a difference in the community. And if you're thinking that the system is not absolutely right, if that's what you think, then I want to challenge you tonight to become part of the change. There's a recruitment thing going on now, a recruitment drive going on now to bring in for people to apply to be law enforcement officers. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to talk about that tonight. But so let's do this here, if you don't mind, Mr. Dwayne Betts. I know that you're the deputy chief. I know all that good stuff. I know you've been working hard, feverishly in the field of law enforcement. But I want to ask a question before we get into a personal question, if you don't mind. Before we get into some of the other concerns I may have, can you tell us who is Dwayne Betts? Not the chief, all right? Dwayne Betts. Who is Dwayne Betts? The man.
Well, I'll just wrap it up this way. I'm just a regular citizen, because the police are the citizens and the citizens are the police. I'm just a regular citizen who loves to see great things happen in the city of Chicago. I had a upbringing on the west side and moved to the south side. Every place I've gone, I try to treat people fair. I try to share my experiences with people, and I'm very committed to youth. I think that a lot of the programs that I support have something to do with youth. And I applaud you and Fathers Who Care for always having a continuous relationship with the community, the youth, and trying to rid the community of some of the ills with the drugs and with alcohol and some other vices that go on. So I
Well,
apologize.
I appreciate that, Chief. I mean, it's my pleasure to be an example to the young folks. For so long, I've been doing this work, and I believe that this is my calling. And I believe we can literally affect serious change in the community, being afraid of the young people. I think we have to really engage them. And whatever social issues or concerns that they may be going through, that's not my problem, the other stuff. My problem is to bring options, to make sure that they have someone that cares about them.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what you do in your area of careers, your life's work. I do it in mine, and I think we work perfectly. I thought I saw somebody on the line. Is there a caller? Call it. Thank you so much for calling. Thank you for waiting. The phone lines are now open. The number here is 312-738-1060. Of course, we have the Deputy Chief here, Dwayne Betts, of the Office of the Superintendent, formerly the Commander of the 15th District, and so on and so forth. What's your comment or question, caller?
I got a question and I also have a comment. I want to start off by thanking the chief for the role that he played.
I think you might, forgive me, it sounds like we're hearing you double, echo or something.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
You might want to cut your television down if you're in front of your television.
Okay, I'm walking away. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you fine now. Thank you.
Okay, first I want to say to the chief, I thank you if you had a part in the police officers that showed up at our school today. We had police officers, officer friendlies, which is what I remember a long time ago. Officer friendlies would show up and talk to the students. And they showed up at our school today at George Leland. And I was so happy to see them. And I just feel like, that is such a good thing to happen, because we used to get it at the schools and it stopped. And I think the schools need it and the children need it, so that they can see that officers are friendly and that officers can talk to them, because there's so much going on with our youth. And I feel like, they need to understand that officers are not somebody they need to fear. They're somebody that they need to be able to talk to and communicate with in case they're going through things. And I appreciate you and the role that you play in the lives of so many, with the job that you do. And I just want to say thank you, and I pray that this continues, this officer-friendly thing at the different schools. I pray that it continues, because our children need it.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I hope I didn't cut you off from what you was sharing before, but I'm going to go and jump on in here and just ask the question, since it appears that we're headed that way. What can we do as community stakeholders to bridge the gap between the police and the community? That seems to be a concern in the community, a legitimate concern in the community, that may be a lack of relationship. So what can we do to bridge the gap, to bring these two sectors together, law enforcement and the community?
Right. And to speak to that caller, one of the early interventions is officer friendly.
Okay.
And we are bringing that back. We've had it back, but we're doing more training. We want every officer to be officer friendly. And we believe in it, and we're going to continue to do it. So thank you.
I remember Officer Friendly too back in the day, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
The superintendent was very sincere about what he wanted, and that was officer friendly. But when you look at the relationships that we have, and a lot of people wouldn't even think that you and I have a relationship, that the police and the businesses don't have a relationship, or the community leaders. But we work well with community leaders, because a lot of them have been on the reform effort and talked about what they want to see differently. And the superintendent made it clear that he wants to be able to have a better relationship with the community. And a lot of times the same thing with the youth in our community, they feel as though they need a voice at the table. So we do have some programs in place that will improve their relationship, including our Explorer program. This fall,
yeah, that's good.
This fall, I'm going to announce that we're going to have a citywide effort and launch to get our Explorer program going in every district. Many of the districts already have a great youth program, and we want to get it all under one umbrella of Explorers. But we have to continue to work together to be examples of what it looks like when police and community are together.
Well, I think for the most part, I'm not knocking other organizations, but I'm gonna just say this here, or other districts or anything. I'm gonna say this here, that your work ethic speaks for itself. it shows that you really care about the community. I heard you talking about it earlier, that you're really concerned about how to empower young people and parents. So with that being said, I need to just ask the question, how can police assist distressed families with solutions in dealing with the influx of violence in our community? That's a question I would like for you to think about. We have another caller, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Chief, I'd like to take the call and then we'll come back and ask you, would you address the question, okay?
Okay. Indeed.
Caller, you on air to comment the question, please. We have, of course, Deputy Chief Dwayne Betts from the Office of the Superintendent. What's your comment or question, please? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
How you doing, Deputy Commander Chief? How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Good. Good evening.
I have a question. With you being the Deputy Chief, what do you feel is the state of Chicago in today's day and age?
The state of Chicago?
Yes.
The state of Chicago, okay.
Meaning, what state are we in as far as the violence and the flux of things that's been
that's
happening?
good. Okay, I got that.
I would say if you look at the numbers, we're upward bound with our numbers. But we know that reducing murders by 20% doesn't mean that people feel safe.
Right.
People want to feel safe because they see the police and they see changes in their neighborhood. So we're working very diligently at being more involved with our community. The state of the city, I believe, gives more opportunity for people like the caller, you, me, and others to help shape and form the city we want to see. That's
Okay.
why our logo is Be the Change.
Okay, we'll go with that. And then you can come back and talk about, you brought it up. Go with the Be the Change. What is Be the Change? What's the concept behind Be the Change?
Well, the concept behind Be the Change is simply this. A lot of people say what they would like to see. I like to see more people that represent me on the police department, or more police officers that get out the car and talk to you. And, it's time for us to open those doors up, to invite people to come and join the police department. So last week we had a resource fair at the training academy. We're on 1300 West Jackson. We invited people there so they can get to know the officers and the people who work on the K-9 unit, to the SWAT teams, to the regular beat officers, and get to know them and ask questions that hopefully they will be able to sign up and take the exam.
Okay, let's stop. Let's revisit this. Wait a minute. Be the Change. Are you telling me that there's an opportunity now that if folks want to go into the field of law enforcement, are you saying that there's an opportunity for folks to join the police department? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I've been a police officer for 32 years, and the recruitment efforts here are paying dividends. You say you want to see people that look like you in your community. We're starting to see a strong emergence of people who otherwise don't take the exam. And that's because we have our ambassadors going around the city hosting events to recruit.
So we're recruiting right now, from what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. And this period isn't going to stay open forever. So
what's the period then?
you want to get it in before October 1st.
Okay, so you're saying that if people want to be the change, and if people want a career as a law enforcement officer, i.e. police, in the city of Chicago, they're taking applications up until October the 1st.
Yes, go www.chicagopolice.org, or go into the library. If you don't have a computer, go to the library and use that computer.
So all they need to do is go online to apply
Yes, sir.
at chicagopolice.org.
Yes, there's great job, great benefits, really good salary that increases after 18 months.
Okay.
In fact, my son is in the academy.
Okay. Well, then that's a good thing. So if people have questions, where can they call?
Well, they can call my office at 312-745-5900.
One more time on that number, sir.
312-745-5900, or go to www.chicagopolice.org.
Okay.
Or you can go to 312-744-4976.
So you got 3 different numbers. Let's go with this one again, chicagopolice.org or 312-744-4976 if you're interested in this endeavor of becoming a law enforcement officer. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Callers, again, the lines are open. We're talking to Deputy Chief Dwayne Betts. Come on, caller, you on air. Your comment or question, please. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, yes. Good evening. This is Miss Griffin from the South Side, from 6th District, 634.
Do you know Miss Griffin?
Me and Miss Griffin are like really good, close people. Yeah.
Miss Griffin, we love you.
I love both of you all. You all do an excellent job, but get what I'm finna say now. I'm finna say now, when we train our people that want to be in law enforcement officer, guess who we're missing? We need to grab a hand to every news reporter in the city of Chicago, because they do not know how to demonstrate, do not know how to allocate about information that's happening in this city. They scare people in such a way where it's belittling, it's very ignorant, because most of them do not know the boundaries. They give away different street addresses and things like that. We got to work better together if we want to see an improvement.
So, Ms. Griffin, before you go, and you know I love you, and I love to hear you on the call. I love to hear you call in. You're a faithful watcher of this show. You know, we have, of course, our deputy chief here, and we wanted to talk about the importance of bridging the gap, Ms. Griffin, between the community and the police. You know, that seems to be a big issue in the city of Chicago. In some areas we can understand, and some, you know, we may question. But the fact of the matter is that all folks are not bad, all community ain't bad, all law enforcement ain't bad. But what can we do, Ms. Griffin, with the wisdom that you have, what can we do as sector partners to bridge the gap?
We need more people in the city of Chicago. Every district have a meeting that they meet with the community. This is your city, this is your community, and this is how you need to advocate. Not always be a one to complain, because guess what? You are the solution to the problem. Thank you.
So are you, just for the record, thank you, Ms. Griffin. I think I heard her saying that you need to be involved, that we need to continuously work together. Is that what I'm hearing?
We got to continue to be involved, and the Chicago Police Department is looking from one end of the country to the other at what other departments are doing, as well as stiffening up some of the strategies that we already have. And what we found is that the common denominator for the ones that are doing well is the engagement piece with the community. So we're looking at opportunities where officers can have more free time, not be on the radio going from call to call, but can actually get out and talk to the citizens and get to know them, because it's pretty clear that people feel more comfortable.
I got to stop you again. Did I hear you just say that as law enforcement are out patrolling the community, that you're requesting or that you're suggesting, or some kind of, I thought I heard something to the effect that you were recommending that law officers get out their car and engage the community?
Absolutely.
Is that what I'm hearing?
And we're making that possible. We have a program right now where we're getting them more familiar with the community in the academy. And we're going to, they visit the DuSable Museum once they attain about 4 or 5 months on the job. And they come out and they learn more about what that community represents. What does it mean to be a minority in that community? Some people have never...
Is that like sensitivity training?
Have sensitivity to that community.
Okay.
It's something that we're working very diligently at improving.
Okay. Well, listen, you're watching Fathers Who Care tonight, and of course, you should have known by now, our guest is Deputy Chief Dwayne Betts of the Office of the Superintendent, and of course, our former commander of the 15th, among other things. And look, let's go right to that point. The point we wanted to know is, how can the police assist distressed families with solutions in dealing with the influx of gang violence, senseless violence in our community?
Well, you know, I think it's pretty clear that we have to better educate the residents when they have children, some of the things that actually attract them to being in a gang. We do a good job with the schools, but getting into the household, we have to do a little better job at, because parenting is indeed one of the key things we have to have if we're going to turn this cycle of violence. A lot of these guns that people are using are not brand new out the box. Some of them are well kept inside a house. And they've been in there and they haven't been rusty because someone is shielding them, and the parent don't know. You have to look into your house and see what's going on. You also have to get involved and not make them feel like they should fear the police. You have to get involved and make sure that they're keeping up their education piece, and that they understand too that they can make a difference in this relationship.
Well, I want to share with some of you all, we got 2 public servants announcements that we want to talk about. We want to talk about first Lynn Nooney, Demetrius Griffin, the young man that was burnt alive in the garbage can in the district, in the community. and we want to talk about Thana, 81-year-old sister on the south side that was brutally murdered in her home. These two individuals, there's a reward out for those who brutally killed these individuals, and we ask that you get in touch with Fathers Who Care, and we will give you the information to those individuals who are offering the award. We just want you to break the silence in the community. When you see something, say something. Don't just let folks run amok of your neighborhood. Don't just let folks in your community do whatever they want. Stand up, make a stand, protect your kids, protect the property. I'm not saying going out there with no guns. I ain't saying that. Let law enforcement do what law enforcement do. We as parents do what we need to do. Discipline our babies, chastise our babies, keep our babies in check. Meet us tomorrow night at Tilton Park on Costner and Lake for a Light in the Night anti-violence event. Free food, free games, free entertainment. Come on out. There's going to be all kind of entertainment going on. We want you to know that we love you, and we want to do whatever we can to bring the family together, so it's going to be a family outing. And then on the 22nd, which is Saturday, is going to be our Mothers Who Care Parental Involvement Cafe. We've invited mothers and fathers to come out. If you need additional information, give us a call at Fathers Who Care at 773-287-5821. So that's tomorrow, Friday night, at Tilton Park on Costner and Lake, and tomorrow Saturday we're going to have our parent cafe. So give us a call at 773-287-5821. And then on the 29th we'll be doing our annual men's health fair on opioid use or PSAs or hepatitis, all that good stuff. It's going to be at Loretta Hospital. Let's get back to the chief here. So Chief, we were talking specifically about the influx of violence in the community. What can we actually do as parents and community stakeholders to help combat some of this violence in our community? Because folks are really afraid.
Right.
What can we do to combat some of this violence in our neighborhoods?
Well, I tell you, what we shouldn't do is separate. You know, the same thing that bring us together is the same thing that separate us, which is communication.
Okay.
If it's lack of communication between us, if there's a quick knee-jerk reaction to everything that we hear versus what's investigated, a lot of times that thing will turn south on all of us.
Okay.
So I think we need to show collaboration, a willingness to work together, and a certain concern for the community where we are working with the kids that are out there on the corners. And, you know, a lot of times we see people on there and we're quick to form an opinion or judge people by what they wear, how they wear their hair, and things like that. And, you know, I go to roll calls, and when I was in the 15th district, one of the things I said was everyone who wears their pants a certain way or wear a certain hairstyle is not a thug. Mm-hmm. You know, we have to learn that we have to respect people. And we can get rid of all the laws and rules if we could, if we just learn something else, how to treat people. Treat people how you want to be treated.
And I like that, you know, and I want to encourage those who are watching tonight, you know, if you really want to be a part of the change and not the problem, I encourage you to take advantage of this initiative or this process on becoming a police officer in the city of Chicago. Great benefits I've read. Would love to share more about that, but you can call 312-744-4976 or log on to chicagopolice.org. But I want to encourage you to be part of the change, be a part of the solution and not the problem. And let's show our young people that if they choose to want to go into the field of law enforcement and be a police officer, that they should do that. But I want you to know that there are opportunities in the field of law enforcement, particularly in Chicago Police Department. Let's talk about mental health. Chief, there are some issues out here in our community in relationship to identifying and addressing mental health. Now, I know we've talked to you before in the past, and we was trying to assess how many law enforcement officers have actually taken trauma classes, crisis intervention classes, and even understand what it means. So what can we do to identify and address mental health and substance abuse needs in our community?
Well, you know, that is very serious incidents that have happened. Not just, we're not immune to having health crisis on the department and our own communities.
Okay.
And recently I was talking with a well-known West Side agency about building a stronger relationship, so not only we can have some information we can give to the community and residents when we go service that home, but also ourselves.
Okay.
Because, you know.
So are you
part-
saying that community residents as law enforcement personnel both need some assistance from time to time?
Listen, this is a tough time and throughout the country where people feel sometimes alone, alienated, and don't want to talk about some things. That's not immune from the police department. It's not immune from the community. But we should play a vital role in getting the training. I took crisis intervention training years ago, and I took a full week of it because I believe that my contribution to that person who needs help should be that I give them help.
You're watching Fathers Who Care, and of course, you're hearing it firsthand from our Deputy Chief, Dwayne Betts, who has been really outspoken, has been really a yeoman for trying to make sure that if folks want to make a difference, be the change you want to see in your community. So I want to encourage those who are watching tonight, listen, continue to do the best that you can to be the best that you can. But let's make sure that we love our babies, love our community, and do what we can to beautify our community, and make sure we do the best that we can to properly guide our children. I think it takes all of us to really make a difference in this city of Chicago. Again, you've been watching Fathers Who Care. We want to thank you all for tuning in, for your phone calls. And if you need additional information, log on to chicagopolice.org. It's been a pleasure talking to you all this evening. Tune in next week. We see you tomorrow at Tilton Park on the corner of Costner and Lake. And we love you. God bless you. Keep the faith. And we're going to keep doing what we got to do to make a difference in the community. And we'll see you later, alligator.
Stay engaged.
Stay engaged. You heard it first. Again, chicagopolice.org.